Hi there, Good Word fam. It's Tisha Lewis, and this is The Good Word. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us for this special episode. We are seated next to Reverend Dr. Sandra K. James, pastor of First Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Dumfries.
Thank you, Tisha, for having me this morning.
Absolutely, and congratulations are in order for you. You were just named pastor of this church, the first female pastor of this church.
Yes. That's such an exciting time for our church. And so I'm honored and elated to be the 11th pastor and the first woman in the 158-year history of First Mount Zion Baptist Church.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes.
What is it? How do you feel?
It's overwhelming. But also it's such an honor. This is something I've worked for all my life in ministry. And it's a good year to be among the first governor, so many firsts for women this year. So I'm happy to be a part of that.
So as the first female pastor of this church, what is your vision? What does the path look like moving forward?
So this church has a rich history. Of course, we've been around 158 years. And so for me, the vision is something, what's the saying? If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But I do have a heart for continuing to grow the church. Especially since after COVID, there is some still residual, but to continue to grow our congregation, to build our community outreach, to build our digital footprint, but most of all, I was reading, there is a resurgence of young people. So I have a heart for the young people, and I'm excited that they've heard the call and they're coming back.
You brought up a good point in terms of the church and church attendance looked very different during COVID.
Yes.
A lot of people were watching church online, and then when restrictions lifted and society got back to normal, a lot of people didn't return to the church. Mm-hmm. And so, in this new role, how do you get people to come back?
Well, word of mouth. Please come back, right? We did have 2 services at one point before COVID. So now we have 1 service at 11, and growth is continuing. People are coming back. We did so well trying to make people feel like they were in church during COVID. So I kind of joke and say, don't be so comfortable. Please come back, and provide an atmosphere of worship and freedom in worship and praise where people want to come back and be a part of it, not just attend, but be a part of worship.
Let's rewind. When you were growing up, did you want to be a pastor?
So when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of women in this ministry as pastors. I come from a traditional Baptist church where women were not pastors. We could be Sunday school teachers, we could be choir directors and over the youth and the kids, but not pastors. And so I didn't even have a model of what a woman pastor would look like. Mm-hmm. But I knew God had a call on my life. So to say that I saw somebody and I wanted to be like that, I couldn't say that. Mm-hmm. I just knew that I had a call in my life, and it was to pastor and to lead God's people.
What has been the response?
Excitement, jubilation. It's right now we're so excited about this new era and the transition, and I'm so excited that I just want the people to come along with me and follow the journey, and I believe it's going to be a good one.
You brought up a good point. Growing up, you didn't really see female pastors. No. And now here you are in this, historic position. What's the message?
That nothing is impossible, to follow your dreams, to not be deterred by naysayers, but know in your heart of hearts that this is what you're called to do. For me, it's never been about a job or a title. It's been about a calling. And so for me, you can walk away from a job. It's hard to walk away from a calling because it's a part of who you are. My mother, my grandmother, I saw them work in church and be leaders as women in their place, per se, in the church. So I've always had a love for God's people and a love for doing ministry.
When did you know that you had the calling to preach?
Yeah. So my background is I'm a retired military person.
Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
We're having this conversation on Veterans Day.
On Veterans Day.
How timely.
How timely. And I actually knew that God was calling me to ministry in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, which is in the desert. You know, you hear people talk about being in the wilderness, and so I joke and say, no, I really was in the wilderness. I was in the desert of Arizona, and God called me into ministry then. And I'm so grateful I had people around me who embraced that, mentored me, and honored my call instead of trying to deter me to do something else. Yeah.
And so when did that take place?
That was in 1984.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Fort Huachuca. It's been a minute.
So it was actually, and again, we're having this conversation on Veterans Day, and it's so incredibly timely.
Yeah.
So it was actually when you were serving
Yes.
in the military that you had the calling to
Yes.
preach.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you remember your first sermon?
I do.
What was it about?
It was a call, the title was A Call to Repentance. And I remember my pastor saying, that's a pretty bold title for somebody just walking into the ministry field to say you want to call people to repent, right? But I was gracious for the opportunity that I was given in ministry then.
Right now is, you know, an interesting time nationwide. Here at home in the DMV, there's a lot that's happening right now. There's the government shutdown that seems to be nearing an end. There is unemployment and underemployment, and the list continues. And I recall a pastor saying that 60+% of congregations, especially in our area here in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, are federal workers. What role is the church playing in helping this sector of our community that is impacted right now? Yeah,
that's a great question because we fall into that same category. The majority of our congregation is either retired military or a federal worker. And as a pastor, when the large majority of your congregation makes up your congregation that's federal or military, you are concerned. You want to encourage them. You want to make sure they're taken care of. This weekend, we did our share ministry where we served over 500 families with for meals for the holidays, and we do that every month. We do it every month with our share program where we share, but of course the numbers are increasing.
I was just going to say that, you know, once upon a time, you know, the people who needed help were, you know, maybe people who were in poverty or had fallen on hard times or, you know, but now the face of the families who need help has changed.
Yes, yes. The question is almost who hasn't fallen on hard times. And so, yeah, we want to assist our congregation however they, when they let us know, of course, and continue to serve our community in the way that we have for the years. Not just when it's a shutdown, but that's part of who we are. We want to be of service and of help and support to the community.
What is the biggest need that, you know, when, as a pastor, that people come to you needing?
You know, regardless of who you are, young or old, I believe, speaking for me, my voice, the biggest need is people want to know that they're seen and that they're heard and that their voice matters. So from the youngest little kid who gives me the hug to the parents, like, let her go now, until our seniors, they just want you to know that, want to know that they matter to you. And so when I tell you I love my congregation and I love people, I love people. So I don't know what I would do if God hadn't placed this call on my life. You know, it's something that, again, I just know it's part of who I am.
And you mentioned about young people. When they see you, it has to be a dose of inspiration.
And that goes both ways. I'm prayerful that I inspire them, but they inspire me also. And they push me. They push me. Hey, Pastor, have you thought of this? Pastor, will you do this? So, and I have the saying with them as well as staff and other people. It's like, let me give you a slow yes before I give you a fast no. Right. So we work through it together.
How do you attract younger people to the church? Because I feel like you want to preserve that traditional church feel, but at the same time, you want to attract a younger generation.
Again,
how do you do both?
I think, again, it's hearing their needs and their wants and being willing to find a happy medium between the two, because you don't want to lose tradition, because I believe that's important, but you also don't want to pigeonhole yourself to a place where you're not relevant to the young people. So you want to give them space and room, and we grow together, right? So yeah, hear their voices, let them bring programs, ideas, and we try them. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're like, okay, yep, let's move on to something else.
And in this digital era, how does that work?
That's interesting, right? Because now we have virtual members and we have a virtual congregation that we want to make them feel like they're right there in the service also. And it's interesting, there's probably not a Sunday that goes by that someone doesn't come from another part of the country or even another part of the world and say, hey, I watched you last Sunday. Service was really good. Wow. So you realize how your footprint has expanded to not just right here locally, but it's around the world.
What's been the biggest challenge about making this transition into the pastoral role? That's a good question. I've served as the assistant pastor for well over 20 years. Wow. I think people hear your voice different when you take on the senior role and the title and the posture, differently from when I was assistant. You know, even though I had wonderful working relationships and member-parishioner relationships, but now as pastor, people look at you differently. There's a different expectation. There's a different kind of pressure that comes with it, because what you do matters to everybody. And being a first always puts you in a different position. What has been something that's been a surprise for you?
I think the first time I heard someone say pastor. And I don't think I noticed them at first, and they said it again, and I had like an aha moment, like, oh, that's me, right? And we kind of smiled. So it makes my heart leap when someone says pastor, or that's my pastor, or we love our pastor, you know, and so it's a privilege, because pastor is not something you get with a title, it's something you earn from the heart.
You know, this church is here in Dumfries.
Yes.
Dumfries is, I believe, the oldest town in Virginia.
Right.
And you said that the church is 158 years old. So this church has been here for quite some time as a staple in the community, and has stood the test of time as so many changes have happened across the community and even across the country. What would you say will be your, not beyond your vision, your legacy for this church?
I think, first of all, my legacy is being able to stand in the shoes as pastor as a woman. And I believe that hopefully leading as a woman pastor, I'll leave a different legacy of anything is possible, and that this church is open to change and to possibility and progression. And so, yeah, I'm excited to, you know, the first comes with jubilation, but it also comes with intrepidation, I guess, or challenges. You want to go up. You want to take them to a better place. So I hope when I leave, my legacy will be I left them better than when I came.
And, you know, even in this historic moment, can you believe that we're still having firsts in 2020? 2025, going into 2026, we're still having firsts.
Still having first. And of course, with a military background, it's been predominantly male, right? For me, so sometimes I was the first in that. And but yeah, so first and is a good thing, but first carries a burden in itself, that you carry the weight of everybody else, not only before you, but those that will come after you.
And you talk about a burden. Do you feel like, there are more eyes on you, more people watching you, more people looking at your next step, more scrutiny, more criticism, more analyzing, more everything?
All
because
of the
you were the
above.
first female pastor here.
Yes, all of the above, all of the above. I have been on cruises in the middle of the ocean and somebody calls my name. It's probably not an airport I haven't been in that somebody doesn't recognize me. And so it's kind of a joke between my husband and I. It's like, can you go anywhere that you're not recognized? And that does carry, I don't know, pressure, but you're always on, if I could say it that way. But on or not, I want people to say, whether I see her in the pulpit or I see her in the street, on the corner, in the store, she's the same. And I had a young adult tell me that. She's like, wow, you're the same, regardless of when we see you. And I thought that was a great compliment.
So how do you navigate all of that pressure? How do you navigate, when do you get to, besides when you're home, get to not be on?
Even when I'm home, ministry is 24/7.
Right.
Because you deal with the human dynamic. So not on might be just vegging out on a TV show, right? Having that moment where nobody's calling, there's not a need that you know of. But I don't think you're ever really not on as a pastor, because you deal with people's lives and life happens 24/7. Yeah.
Who do you watch or are inspired by when it comes to female pastors?
Oh, yeah. Reverend Dr. Cynthia Hale in Decatur, Georgia. Of course, Reverend Dr. Gina Stewart. So many. Reverend Dr. Elaine Flakes, and two of them are my mentors that I look up to. They're going to be here to celebrate this moment with me.
At your installation service?
Yes. Dr. Hale is going to be here on the 22nd, November 22nd at 2. And then Dr. Elaine Flakes will be here on the 23rd at our 11 o'clock service. And so I'm happy glad, if I can say it that way, that they're going to be a part of this journey with me.
And what about them inspires you?
They've been first, and because I stand on their shoulders, if I could say it like that. They are trailblazers, they are mentors, they have set the example of what a woman in ministry looks like, that you don't have to be like the guys, be uniquely who God has created you to be, and love what you do.
So we talked a little bit about your vision and your path and your message. I believe that the community and the church is needed now more than ever, especially in this area where so many people are impacted by the economic climate, the federal shutdown. How does the church go beyond the sanctuary and the chapel and the church walls and reach the community, reach those who maybe are not on this faith walk, maybe are not even coming to church because they're not coming to church, nor are they watching it at home?
Yeah.
How do you reach those people?
A couple of years ago, we had a theme that was Ministry Beyond the Walls. And so I think, to answer your question, we just continue to, first of all, make our doors opening and welcoming, but not stay in these confined walls. We have to get out in the community, be a part of the community, be accessible to people and approachable and personable, whether it's a child or it's a middle-aged adult or a senior adult or homeless or whatever the need is. Not be afraid to meet people where they are, and then hopefully be able to help them with what they need.
So tell us a little bit about First about Zion Baptist Church. How many people come to church here? This is a beautiful, we're in the chapel right now,
We're in the
correct?
chapel, yes.
So we're in the chapel. And tell us a little bit about the history of this church.
So this church was founded in 1867, of course. And so we sit here now on 16622 Dumfries Road, 108,000 square plus feet facility. We're in the chapel. We have a sanctuary that seats a little over 2,200.
Wow.
Our congregation is around 4,000 right now.
Okay.
And we have a daycare center, Proverbs Place. We have a fitness center with a full-time fitness director, walking track, gymnasium, a Grain of Heaven, which is our cafeteria, and we have over 70 plus ministries. And when I tell you First Mount Zion these people love each other, you have to make them go home. Right? And whenever we have a function, whether it's somebody's birthday or anniversary or graduation or housewarming, or you're going to see majority of the people will be members of the congregation. So we do life and community together.
You know, I love all of this. And when you talk about members of the congregation, some of the members of your congregation are well-known people and public figures and celebrities throughout the community.
Sure.
When you are guiding that particular sector, what is it that, you know, you can pull from to inspire them?
You know, that's a great question because as you were talking, those faces start to flash before me, right? What I love about it is even though they are celebrities or politicians or hold important positions in the community, when we sit like this and we have conversation across, whether it's across a lunch table or one-on-one together, it is pastor. They want to know what their pastor thinks. And so we can, even though I might look at them in awe, they look at me in awe as their pastor. And we kind of joke about that sometimes because I am amazed at the makeup of our congregation. And I am amazed at how God has blessed us with everything we need, with every talent, every gift. It is right here in our church.
Well, we look at you in awe, an incredible achievement. Congratulations to you again. Everyone who comes on the Good Word series, we always ask them this one question, and people who are watching, wherever you're watching from, know what I'm about to ask you. But we want to know, in your words, your mind and your heart, what is the good word?
The good word all the time is no matter what's going on, that this is the day the Lord has made, and we are called to rejoice and be glad in it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Reverend Dr. Sandra K. James, first female pastor of First Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Dumfries, Virginia, and also a veteran on this Veterans Day. Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. And thank you for joining us on The Good Word.
And can I say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Thank you, Tisha.
Thank you.